Hey, raise it up, why? Raise it up. Raise it up, why? Hey, raise it up. Hey, raise it up, why? Raise it up. Hey, raise it up, why? Raise it up. North side, raise it up. South side, raise it up. East side, raise it up. The west side, raise it up. Raise it up, raise it up, raise it up, raise it up, raise it up. North side, raise it up. South side, raise it up. East side, raise it up. The west side, raise it up. Raise it up, 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 raise it up. Okay, I just wanted to introduce the fact that we might be hearing some neighborhood activities in the background, because it's definitely postponed production for about 15 minutes. Go ahead and introduce that. I'm going to introduce myself in the podcast. Hey, loves, hey, loves, hey, loves. My name is Wyann, also known as Y, and this is another episode of Raise It Up, Y, the podcast. We are coming at you the end of February 2020. And you know that we are always quasi-live, meaning that we record prior to you all getting us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as all of you on YouTube. Hi to you guys as well. We appreciate all of your subscriptions. We appreciate all of your likes, your comments, and interacting with you all on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere that we are, and we see you all. We're really appreciative that we have you there. This is an episode entitled, What's Love Got to Do with It? And I'm asking what love has to do with things because of the questions that you'll see in the Get Raised section. I did something like we did an episode of, I feel like it was 11. Yeah, in episode 11, we had a podcast called Dear Ladies. We shortened it just to Dear Ladies, but it was Dear Ladies, Hush Up and Listen. It was everything that men would tell ladies if they felt they would be heard. Well, while we were raising up the awareness of ladies into the men's minds, this episode with the Get Raised is going to be to elevate men in their self-awareness. Y'all know right here on this podcast, we look to raise your self-awareness, raise your vibrations and your capacities for love, which is just knowledge. And I told you guys on our first episode a month ago that this year in 2020, with it being more about clarity and vision and things like that, what I really, really felt compelled to do was to help you all raise your awareness of self, because like my homegirl Yo-Yo say, if you knew better, you do better. So I want to help raise you all's awareness so we can be better people to ourselves and then better to everybody else as a result. Before we get raised with that section I just talked about, we're going to do a break it down of some song lyrics from my EP, and we'll even have another douxadiddy at the end from the EP. It's actually, I think this douxadiddy is my favorite song on my EP. It's been shifting and running around, but this particular song that you'll hear at the end of this episode, all the way after the paying dues and words of wisdom, you'll get to hear this particular song, which I think is my favorite as of late and right now. It's such a pretty thing. Okay, but before all of that, all of you know or are learning about me that I am a trained therapist and an educator and not an entertainer, but an entertainer. Put that together, it is an edutainer, and I'm a therapeutic edutainer as well. The first thing we're going to do is just ground ourselves, all right? We're going to ground ourselves because, one, grounding separates the space, the mental space, the energetic space between what we're doing now and what happened before right now. Wherever you were, however you were before you were listening to this podcast, we're going to currently create some distance. That's number one that grounding does. Number two, grounding makes you fully aware of where you are right now. Some of us have a propensity to be in a space or and I say a headspace, a physical space, but we're ruminating in our brains over what's happened yesterday or what will happen tomorrow. Grounding is a way for us to come directly into our now and make you just a piece of the moment. So if you're driving and listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I invite you to keep your eyes open. All others of you with the capability to do so, I invite you to close your eyes. Kind of just feel yourself in your own space where you are now in your moment. And I would like you to take a moment to be here with me. Hear my voice. Feel your feet. Wiggle your toes. My toes just cracked. Touch your nose. And just recognize that you are here. Breathe a breath in. Blow a breath out. Again, you can do that in through your nose and out through your mouth. Take a moment to own this miracle we call life. That you are breathing and you are winning just by living this life. Just by spending this time with my voice right now, you're investing into your betterment. And I'd like you to sit with that and feel proud. And welcome. Let's go up. One of the pillars of this podcast is to spread non-corny positivity within the hip-hop culture. And another thing that we like to herald is the fact that we're from the West Coast and we come from the West Coast. Listening to my words right now within the grounding, I just wanted to take this time to formally say that we, as the West Coast, acknowledge the legacy and the brilliance of the late, great Gianna Bryant and Kobe Bryant, as well as the other lives that were lost on Sunday, January 26th, 2020. That was a unpredictable and highly sad day for all of us Lakers fans, but the coast, much like when Nip passed, going on a year ago, I think things got a different feel on them than we were expecting on that Sunday morning. And because sports are international, just like hip hop is international, I think that was yet again another shot heard around the world coming from the West. So as a podcast that is a beacon of West Coast culture as well as hip hop, we just wanted to, as a team of us, send our love and our prayers to the loved ones that all of those 9 great figures left behind. And yeah, that was kind of off script, but it was just something I felt was needed. I know I wrote it on the descriptions of last podcast because, again, we tape before we air. And when we had taped, it was 2 days prior to that unfortunate situation and the news that followed. So today we would just like to have a little moment, have a little Mamba mentality moment. You understand? And now we'll keep going. Yeah, so in looking at what's love got to do with it, the first thing we're doing right now is a break it down. And in breaking it down, I think some of you guys know that this segment is about uncovering the genius in hip-hop culture. And you guys know I put out hashtag Wyann EP. WYANNEP. It's on all your streaming platforms. Well, there was one song, very West Coast, and it's a song that we actually played as a douxadiddy on episode 12 because Terrace requested it. This song is called 4 Steps. It is a meaty song, meaty meaning it has a lot of content in its lyrics. So I wanted to kind of break it down for you ladies and you gentlemen, because February not only is Black History Month, and I don't really want to spend a lot of time on the Black History part of it because I don't feel like we can be contained in one month. You guys always hear me talk about how Black men started this podcast, affirmed this podcast, and a Black woman runs it with 2 beautiful white men. So we all are very much acknowledging that the Black side of things are always taken care of 365, 66 this year, and 7 days a week. So I like to, in February, focus on love. And again, this episode is called What's Love Got to Do with It? Well, in this relationship thing, love and relationships, not the same thing. Love, in my opinion, is easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Love happens all the time. I can love you and never have met you because I decide when I love and what I love. Relationship, though, it requires active participation. It's not one of those things that can be passively like, yeah, I do nothing and the relationship grows. Think of planting a seed. That's starting a relationship. If you neglect to water and make sure that the light can touch where that seed has been planted, you can almost guarantee that you will not see productivity or growth from that planted seed because your relationship to that seed has been one of negligence, all right? And you can love the seed. You can tell the seed you love it every day inside your house or from your job where you haven't seen it in a week. However, you can come home and weeds will be all up in your garden. You understand? So, in the first verse of 4 steps, I'm giving ladies an amount of time to say, if you figure that if you give him all that you've got, if you give somebody all that you got, what are you left with? Settle. Zero. Nada. If you give someone all that you got, you'll be stuck with a knot in your wallet. That's a big fat O. And if you love him like there's no tomorrow, which means, ladies, when you focus on this guy and give that dude everything, you know his next word before you know your next word. If you love him like there's no tomorrow, you'll be stuck with sorrow in your pocket. Because guess what? Your happiness is your responsibility. And that man is only happy, or rather, only responsible for his own happiness and love and all that stuff as well. So make sure you're keeping yourself in your own vision, ladies. Because guess what? With a hole in your chest, aka your heart is gone, with a hole in your chest, you can't give no one your best. And you'll be searching the rest of your days for the love of your life. And guess what? He'll be off with his wife because you've been soaking your nights away. You ever had a breakup with somebody and then you look at their IG, Instagram, social media, whatever, and they in the gym, they out getting money, they out getting promotions, wherever they doing? It's because they didn't stop living after the death of that relationship. They kept living, they kept growing, they kept investing in themselves. So you want to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to focus on you in a second, so I'm just giving women a piece of my time in this episode. With a hole in your chest, you can't give no one your best. You'll be searching the rest of your days for the love of your life, and he'll be off with his life if you stay soaking your nights away, all right? Falling into a depression doesn't help you propel forward, ladies. So let me give you some game. First step, you can let him know that you're tired. Let's say you're in a relationship and your expectations for what you want in this relationship aren't being met. You can just make that known. That means you have to know your own truth. Then you have to have the courage to speak your own truth. You got to let him know that you're tired. You go to step 2 and do you. What does that mean? Do you. You have to know you to do you. Again, this year, self-discovery, self-awareness. You got to do you. If he's not inspired to do step 3, anything that'll make you happy. What do I mean by that? One of my classes back in my first, technically my undergrad degree, it was called divorce busting. It was this thick. It was called divorce busting because it was giving you the key to save any marriage. And do you know that the first key to save a marriage is do something different? What different? Something. Start with something, anything. Life, people, what we do, we're pretty cyclical. We have patterns. So if you put a chink in one part of a pattern, of a loop, of a circle, if you stop one part, you affect all of the rest of the pieces. That's what a system ends up being like. That's the consequences of messing one piece of a system up. So if he doesn't do anything, if he doesn't feel inspired to do anything that makes things happier, then you gotta go run off into step 4, and you got to explore life for yourself, explore yourself for yourself. You got to love yourself. Love yourself, and don't be with him no more. If that relationship ain't bringing you happiness, don't fuck with it no more. It's really simple. But easiest decisions are rarely very easy to make and execute. So, easy decisions hard to make, all right? So, honey baby, you got to listen to me. Love ain't always what it seems. You got to take it from a pro. I've been here before. I've lived my nightmares. And I've touched my dreams. That's Wendy Vaughn, baby. Wendy Vaughn wrote that second verse. Let me tell you, Wendy's pen has been something that's been an issue from the very, very start. So she has lived her nightmares and she's touched her dreams. Here's what she learned. Searching for Mr. Right ain't gonna do nothing you'll find till you learn to start loving yourself. And when you're happy with you and in love with what you can do, then you'll share it with someone else. Ooh! I swear I want to call her. I'll call her after this, after we tape, but Wendy Vaughn, man. Wendy with an I. Dope writer, amazing person. Also happens to be a sister to me, which makes me very happy. So, in this Break It Down, ladies, I want you to hear that a lot of learning what you'd like out of love and relationships starts with you learning what you like and love out of yourself. And if you haven't decided that, what better a day than to start now, today, right now, whenever you hear this. Doesn't matter when you hear this, but that you start, all right? So I hope you enjoyed that Break It Down, all right? Focused on y'all. Now, you Negroes. No, I'm messing with you. No, you gentlemen, you men. You ain't got to be Negro. You can be anything you want to be. But guys, I did a get raised for you, okay? Meaning, I interviewed, I surveyed, I had discussions and conversations with a plethora of men, vastly different. Like I said, I did the same thing on episode 11 when I interviewed a lot of gentlemen to get information to help ladies really learn how to feng shui with you all in relationship. However, I told y'all I was coming for that ass. Here I am. And here the time has come. If you knew better, you do better. So what I'm about to tell you, gentlemen, is what I learned after speaking with over 20 vastly different men on several different continents, young, old, married, widower, and everything in between that you can think of. I tried to get even a bigger, different span on my research base, all to answer this question, gentlemen. We're raising you. Hear what we're doing. Why do guys seek the attention of other women when they have the proclaimed bomb chick at home? I think this is going to help ladies too, but I want to really get into that self-exploration of you, gentlemen, because of the answers that I heard. I want to share them with you in case you've never taken the time to possibly venture out and explore why you do the things that you do. If you're one of the gentlemen that has ever taken the liberty to look for the attention of other ladies, even if you've had a dope chick at home. And for this conversation, gentlemen, let's call a dope chick everything you think you want. She's thick in all the right places, thin in all the right places. She got the bomb job. She give the bomb head, got amazing pussy. That means she's slightly crazy, but that's all right because that keeps spunk in the game. It's fun. She's somebody that you could take home to mom, home to your homies, as well as showcase on a red carpet somewhere. She knows about a little bit of everything. She really compliments your fly. So why do you still then seek the attention of other women? And you guys know I work with 2 gentlemen on this podcast. I've already invited them to chime in if they can help drive any of these points home. All right. Number 1, One of the reasons, after all these 20 some odd guys, I think it was 23 guys in total that I surveyed, themes came up in their responses. One theme was for the thrill of the chase. Another way that one man stated that is, men are hunters by nature. And another guy stated that kind of complements that. Men will catch even what they don't want. Reasons for still catching the attention of other ladies in this natural hunter, conqueror type of mentality. Sometimes it's proving masculinity. And sometimes they're just staying relevant, even if they've had, or if they have the dope woman at home. Once you've been at home with the dope woman so long and then you come outside, guess what? There's new, seemingly dope, visually dope, look like they could be a fun time dope ladies out there. Mind you, you don't know if they crazy as batshit, which they probably are. You don't know if they ain't got 2 pennies to rub together, which they might not. What did they say? A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. So when you got a good one at home, even if you see 10 bad ones out in the night, guess what? All of us, as great as we are, gentlemen and ladies, we come with our own sets of baggage. So when you got to dope somebody at home, you've already screened all their fucking crazy, all their baggage. So some people say, if you're really happy there, promote that, remain there, herald that. However, like the number one reason for why men look for attention of other ladies goes, sometimes it's just fun. It's a thrill to seek out the attention of other women. A second reason that men reported they look for the attention of other women, or even maybe might cheat with these ladies. Cheat is a very subjective term. Some people might say that's sleeping with another woman. Some might even say it's just providing the type of attention you would give wifey to another woman, holding hands, buying things, providing for, protecting, things like that. So cheat can be a subjective thing. We can talk about that in a different episode. But this episode, a second reason was identified as, man, well, there's always women that's willing. They out here, they out here. It's just me, and there'd be like 6 and 7, 12 girls out there. They know what they be doing. They out here. I know that sounds funny, but even in Steve Harvey's book, the first one, I don't know if he's written others, but Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, he talks about one of the reasons that he himself and some of the guys he knows have cheated is because they just know that there are ladies that will. I'll choose to call them ladies today. They know there are women who are willing participants, and that's a second reason why men seek out that attention. A third reason, thought it was pretty interesting. Women might be pushing their men away without realizing it. Sometimes, ladies, we have very sharp tongues, and the way we talk to a man might feel demeaning to him. The way that we interact with him might push him away. We don't give him his own space. We might be overzealous or overjealous. If we behave insecurely, it might come off like always checking his stuff, going around with, and that, if he's being a faithful man, can push a man into some of these situations. At least that's what's been reported. That's what some of these gentlemen have said. So communication really helps in situations like these, ladies, and guys too. Just know that. There's a couple different patterns of communication that I won't get into deeply right now because I feel like it could be its own piece. And I might do that in episode 16. Cover communication and communication patterns so I can really spend some time on it because I know that'll really help you all. But women might be pushing away their lovers without realizing it, all right? Especially if you a boss, ladies. If you out here really holding shit down, you got the bomb this, the bomb that, you got your own, he love you because you got your own, you an independent lady, but you know how to be loved on by a man. Sometimes all of that, still you could be doing things that you inadvertently don't even realize are pushing him away. And that leads me to number 4. The number 4 reason, gentlemen, why you might be seeking the attention of other ladies, not recognizing this is why you're doing it. You're overcompensating for feeling inferior or jealous of your dope chick at home. If you have this lady at home who is so great and so dope, she got money, she can do life successfully without you. For a man who has yet to develop himself fully, he can begin to feel jealous of her and her success. He can just feel insecure or inferior within himself. And because of that, or maybe just some self-identified shortcomings, like, I know I don't got enough money, or my status ain't like hers in our respective industries. I don't think I'm as physically attractive as she is. She stay in the gym, I don't. I might feel weak. Men don't like to feel weak. Like, women don't like to feel overweight or have their body image questioned. You know what I mean? Some guy said, one of the gentlemen I interviewed, he just put it as something's lacking, whatever it might be. When you do that, when you recognize that something on your part may feel like it's inadequate or it's lacking, what I want you to realize, gentlemen, is that you buck up by going out knowing that you can conquer, knowing that you can take down a woman. Because, shit, if you're not feeling like a full man, what could make you feel like more of that man than going out and using your manhood, your actual penis, to take something down? That generally puts the battery pack back in the man's back on some, like, yeah, I'm out here. I might have lost the job, but I got 3 new bitches, so I'm not saying this is all of y'all. I'm saying this is just some of the things that I've identified or I've heard or things like that. And, gentlemen, none of this is meant to mock you or make you feel any type of way. But it is, gentlemen, iron sharpening iron, meaning I was telling somebody, for a knife to become a knife, it has to lose its original form as some block of metal. How do we whittle it down into a knife? How does that block of metal become the knife? Well, it has to go through fire. It has to get shaved. It has to go through eliminating pieces of it that no longer serve it for the desired form it wants to take on. So I'm just giving you guys this information so y'all can start seeing in your lives where you maybe need to chisel this, whittle out that, smooth this over, or put this part of you in the fire. A really dope point that Charlemagne the God made, it's a 5th piece to why men cheat. It's very simple. Because they want to. It might not be that deep, gentlemen. And I'll say this. I even kind of put this into another part that I wrote for myself, which is like a catch-all other why men might step out or seek the approval of other ladies even when he has a dope chick at home. Sometimes, gentlemen, you're not being honest with yourself. It's not deep. Sometimes you're just not being honest with yourself, meaning mentally, you're no longer in the relationship. Okay, you might have a kid with her. Okay, you might still be financially tied with her. Okay, you know what? One of you might have an illness or some other stipulation that keeps you all related to one another and conjoined with one another. But for all intents and purposes, you're not there no more. And instead of saying that, you just take your little liberties out on the side. Because if you're married and things like that, it's cheaper to keep her. That's what I've heard. It's cheaper to keep her. So, or let's say the sex ain't the same. Or, you've never really loved the sex, but she was such a good girl. Oh, and everything else was so perfect. I think that's another reason why gentlemen might not be keeping an honest relationship going on with a lady. You know what I'm saying? So to flip this on its head, because now we've looked at, with this particular get raised, we've looked at these reasons for why men seek the attention of other ladies even when they have a dope chick at home. One, the thrill of the chase, it's the man's nature. Two, because there are women who are willing and available. Three, because there are things that their dope chick at home does that pushes them away, and these men aren't honestly communicating about it. So how would she know? You understand? Number four, there's an overcompensation for feeling inferior. And five, because they want to, and I'm also going to throw in the word that I forgot to this whole entire time, feeding the ego. Charlemagne the God said, feeding the ego stopped being so alluring to him. And that's when he started working on himself and feeding his soul. That's what turned him from a cheating boy to a black man who doesn't cheat and being faithful to his wife. And DJ Envy had said the same thing in the particular clip that I saw. So another thing that settles a man into being with one woman, one of my gentleman responders said this: perspective, your mindset. His exact words were, perspective is what corrals a man and his nature to desire and commit to one woman. A guy has to see the value. You, as a gentleman listening, if you're trying to live a more honest and a more, in therapy, what we call congruent life, which means you walk it like you talk it. If you're trying to live that congruent life, you have to look at your mindset and your perspective and see, is this something that you're focused on? Is this something that you want? How is your relationship with you? Because everything you're doing in your relationship with your partner, your spouse, whoever, that's very much an extension of how much you've decided to commit to yourself. All right? And then one of my gentleman responders said he started being faithful when the headache of new pussy began to outweigh the allure of new pussy. So I thought I'd save that for last because it was so eloquently worded. Okay. But again, I think the big takeaway from this is if you knew better, you do better. And one guy told me why that felt so important to him was because where men generally feel safe and seek counsel and have a lot of conversation about what we've been talking about today, there are no experts. So the identified places where a guy generally feels safe is, or they are listed as, the barbershop, a bar, a gym or a locker room, or at work. Is that a pretty cool assessment, guys, about where men generally feel safe to kind of express this stuff without judgment? The barbershop, a bar, the gym or a locker room, or at work. And in those settings, while there might be other guys there, it's not like these are all LCSWs, licensed clinical social workers, or trained therapists, or clinical psychologists, or expert human developer. Like, these are just college professors on self-development. These aren't these individuals. It's, I don't want to say the blind leading the blind, but it's not even like it's mentorship because, you know, if you just work out next to a guy on the stationary bike, you didn't sign up to be his mentor, right? Like, you didn't sign up to, you know, have to know your shit in order to help him through his shit. It's just two men talking, which is fine, which is dope, you know, when people just kind of speak out, and that's how you kind of start learning about yourself. But I want to identify that, gentleman, so that I say, if you knew better, you would do better. So going to necessarily might not be therapy. And even if you wanted to go to therapy, guess what? I'm a trained therapist and a lot of my homies are therapists. It's a lucrative business. People make money off of it. So let's say you can't afford therapy, or you go to church, but they talk about certain topics and not other topics that you would feel judged for. You know what I'm saying? This platform, the hashtag High Y series, in this platform where you all can send your questions at Raise It Up Y, RAISEITUPWY. You can DM that account with your questions. Hashtag High Ys get put up every couple months, or really whenever I get them. And they generally come from people seeking better for themselves. And what I do from my therapeutic and edutainer background is provide you some counsel. And I also have my own mentoring service called Light Work that you can also access the price list to by DMing at Raise It Up Y as well. So we have gotten raised, ladies and gents. Not only have we gotten raised, but we broke some stuff down. We was just running and breaking shit all day. Okay, down and up. Oh, yes. Oh, am I on? Okay. That was for YouTubers. I had to make sure I was still a vibe for you. So, we're going to get into some words of wisdom. Hope you all have enjoyed this episode. Starting to wind it down. I think you all are going to like this one. All right? We're going to explore Fear Street versus Lover's Lane. This is a concept that I came up with a few years ago during a mentoring seminar for some young ladies. And I was speaking to them about 2 different ways to live life. So let me give y'all the same little story. Once, there were 2 basic neighborhoods where all of humanity lived. One was on Fear Street, and the other was on Lover's Lane. Folks could inhabit real estate on either block, and often it was found that most people even did have residence on both properties. Each day, folks would live their lives and decide whether or not they'd stay in either place. For instance, one could wake up on Lover's Lane and, with a few short decisions, end up packing for Fear Street. On Fear Street, folks would hide from one another and from themselves. There were no mirrors. People were allowed to say what they thought others wanted to hear from them, and they either endlessly agreed or disagreed with folks depending on what they thought would get them liked more. People communicated by either debating or arguing. Everyone either knew it all or became overly emotional when expressing themselves, and they argued. They overindulged and underappreciated, and they lived all of their wildest vices. Sin City had nothing on Fear Street. Lover's Lane felt different. Way less variance in the air. Things either felt peaceful or interesting and fun. There were conflicts on Lover's Lanes, yeah, but resolutions generally resulted in folks feeling heard and synergizing in order to reach agreements that benefited them and others around their dispute. There was honesty and authenticity, laughter to the point of tears, all on Lover's Lane. There was hella love making, less sex, and oftentimes folks were so full off of love, they'd let transgressions go, feeling a general sense of highness off of life. I've visited both places. Lover's Lane happens to be my jam. Some people tell me it's too dull of a place and they require more action. Fear Street, to them, keeps things exciting and anticipation-filled. High risk, high run. People liked Fear Street when they maybe felt having general contentment in life wasn't enough. There was a lot of not enough vibes on Fear Street. There, it seemed like you had to be loud enough or fast enough or edgy enough, blunt enough, outlandish enough, black enough, femme enough, sexy enough, but never just enough. I don't know, I could never really hack it on Fear Street unless things felt too good on Lover's Lane. I can admit, like, if things felt like a never-ending loop of goodness, me and my humanness started to doubt how long those things would last. Or if a situation felt just too right, I'd begin looking around, possibly thinking it would suddenly end and leave me high and dry, maybe feeling alone. So whenever I'd get out of my moment, whenever I would forget my greatness, here I'd pack my overnight bag from my apartment on Fear Street, leaving my mansion on Lover's Lane. Thankfully, though, nowadays I spend less and less time in that crummy old apartment. And I'm planning on even downsizing to just a room in someone else's joint, not really trying to own space on Fear Street. I know better now. And now that you've heard my story about Fear Street and Lover's Lane, I'd like to know, where can I catch you? How much space do you take up on Fear Street? How many nights do you happen to reside on Lover's Lane? Are you renting or owning on either block? When do you go packing for Fear Street? Or do you just wake up there every day or so? How often do you hang out on Lover's Lane? Do you have money for a down payment there? Lover's Lane don't feel that expensive. All it really costs is your heart plus your attention. In case you're wondering, I assure you, you belong around Lover's Lane. Your peace of mind and worth definitely belong there. But I don't want to badger you about it. I just hope to see you around town. That's all. And those are my words of wisdom for today. And before I go, paying your dues, sucker. Actually, I told y'all on episode 15, this is episode 15. I told you on episode 14, we staying sucker free all 2020. And my cousin, CEO, creator, entrepreneur, Maya Smith of The Do, THEDOUX, can be found in Target, Sally's, Walmart, all across this great nation. She has a shampoo called Sucker Free, and that's exactly the way I stay. I was gonna wash my hair and do it all over again this morning, but I was going for this beach bum sort of cute hair. Like, it's only 84 today? 80. Well, now it's 73, but it was 84 as I was driving up the 5 freeway, getting on the 134 to come up to North Hollywood. So yes, sucker free is the way to be all 2020 and beyond. But just focus on that there. If you want to catch any of my cousin's products, Maya Smith, you go on social media at I Love The Do, ILOVETHEDOUX. Also, one of our loves and very, very favorite listeners, supporters to the show. A lot of the times when I get little snippets out of my podcast episode, this listener, this gentleman, this supporter, this friend of mine, Boomer, at Boomer Did It, BOOMERDIDIT. Damn, DIDIT. That was fly. I don't know why. Anyways, this is his... is this my hair? Sorry. Okay, YouTube, just let me have that. Let me have that moment right there. He started a clothing line called Relief Apparel. And I have something on my sleeves, too. Look back. Did you get it? Can you see that? Relief Apparel. At Relief Apparel, ReliefApparel. Relief stands for release, express, laugh, indulge, enjoy forever. And if you guys happen to know this Compton native, Boomer did it, he is one of those types of individuals that would create a clothing line that has to do with releasing, expressing, laughing, indulging, and enjoying forever. Another paid dude individual is a coworker of mine. This is my actual backpack. It's not like a promo piece, so that's why it has a little life on it. This is called Dark Wear on social media at DARQUEWEAR. The second in command for Ujima, Pasadena City College, and the head of the Black Academia Project at Pasadena City College, Armia Walker, my homegirl, mentor, big sis, confidant, fun woman, created that line as a legacy to start for her and her 3 beautiful daughters and their families. So darkwear.com, DARQUEWEAR is where you can find more of their stuff. It also teaches you some history. So just go on there. I'm not going to give you too much because I want you to go visit it so you can see what they got over there. Last but never least. This is the EP. YNV, that's me. I got a big boot. Okay, so we have the EP that you can find on the website, wyannvaughan.com, WYANNVAUGHN.com, as well as the lovely Ride Out with her sexy ass. Change Clothes, what is that? Oh, Change the World. That's one of the poems in there, with beautiful photography by my wonderful editor, James Bananas Foster Adams. So, want you guys to catch yourself this coffee table book. I have to send this actual pair out later tonight, the book and the CD, because I got a couple orders. Because you guys are amazing and you're great and I love y'all. Couple dates later tonight. We gonna be in Pasadena, baby, at the Hip Hop Forum, 6 p.m. Pasadena City College, 1570 East Colorado Boulevard, Pasadena, California, 91106, 6 p.m. You are going to be greeted by some awesome, gentle folk. Guys and lady. Can I say it? DJ Pooh. Terrace is going to try to get there. He's coming off of a plane like right now, I believe. So he's going to try to get over there. And 1500 or nothing. And wonderful homegirl of mine, Tiffany Goucher, who has been featured on Masego's album. I really like that Masego album. That was from last year, I think. It was either from last year or 2018. I don't know when it came out, but it was a really dope album. But she was on there. She's also kin to a lot of you watched that show, Rhythm and Flow on Netflix. And the winner of that show, our homeboy D Smoke, Daniel Ferris, is the middle of the Ferris boys. The youngest being Sir from TDE. The oldest being Davion Ferris, who's written for all of those guys, right? For everyone from Anita Baker to like Tyrese, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's Jaheim or something. Listen, go look them up. The Ferris brothers, but Tiffany Goucher is their actual blood cousin. So you guys know I come from family and music, and they come from family and music. So I just wanted to pub. Yeah, pub all of them. It was puff them up, pup and pub, all of them up. And you'll see them tonight. Well, Tiffany, you will, and surprise guests as well. So you never know what you're gonna get on the West. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it is my pleasure to live, love, learn, and grow with y'all. I thank you for your continued support. And as always, please forever stay real. Raise it up, why? Raise it up. Raise it up, why? Raise it up. Hey, raise it up, why? Raise it up. Raise it up, why? Hey, raise it up. Hey, raise it up, why?